This is Patrick Henry with Quest Fusion and the San Diego Lifestyle. I'm here today with Amanda Cascadden, who's the editor of the San Diego Lifestyle, for another edition of Baby Boomers versus Millennials. Today we're going to be talking about the advent and the kind of hype over live video on the internet and what I would call near live video, basically in the category of like Instagram stories and Snapchat and things like that. So before we kind of get into any detail, I mean, what are your kind of general thoughts about live video, Amanda?
Well, I personally, and I don't think I am among the many millennials who think this, but I think that high quality video that looks great, even if you have to record it and play it later, is so much better than live video. But I can totally understand it. I get where millennials are coming from, that it's totally cool that you can see what someone's doing right now. And Snapchat has become huge. I mean, Instagram stories now basically taking over Snapchat, which I think is great. And Facebook Live, Periscope, I mean, they're all really good ways for people to be able to see right now. And especially if you don't have a high quality camera and you don't have all the tools and you don't know how to edit and you don't want to download 15 apps and your battery to completely die while you're trying to figure out how to even get the video on the internet. I think it's really cool that it's a simple, easy way to just post what you're doing. People can see your inside look at things, and then it's out there like that. You don't have to think of a creative thing to say and write all this stuff out and SEO optimize it and all of that. So I do think that millennials love it. I don't think it's going away. So I think it's great.
I wouldn't say I hate it. I think it's overused and overhyped, and when it kind of started with I guess Meerkat, which then Periscope, which is owned by Twitter, kind of wiped out Meerkat, and now you got Facebook Live, which basically is really kind of diminished people using Periscope, and Facebook Live seems to be the dominant live video platform now. And Facebook, in their kind of rules, they've prioritized live video over everything else. So in your news feed, if somebody does a live video, that's what you get at the top of your news feed. And I've got friends of mine that I honestly don't want to see their face on live video when I go to Facebook. And it's a complete turn off. It's completely ridiculous. I think it's just, I don't want to see you, you know? Maybe if you take a picture of yourself, then with your family or something, but you talking to me like when I'm eating my breakfast, I'm not really interested. And 99% of the stuff that's out there is totally uninteresting. And it's like, I just don't get it, and I don't get why Facebook is doing it. I do get why Facebook is doing it, because there's a big advertising angle around it, but we're getting all this garbage shoved down our throats that is just ridiculous. And before I rant more,
tell us how you really feel.
I'll give Amanda a chance to say something here.
I don't even know what to say to that. I just think it's a completely typical baby boomer point of view. I love it for that, but I mean, there's so many aspects that are good about it. So, I mean, it does give you the inside opportunity to see what people are doing. Like, one of my favorite people on Snapchat to follow is Steve Aoki, and he's probably the only reason why I even have Snapchat anymore, because it's just so cool. There's nowhere else you can go to see inside scoop of what he's doing when he's not at a concert and not playing his music. Just the vacations he's taking and being on his private jet and being, just all these different
Steve Aoki is
things.
a famous DJ.
Yeah.
So just for those out there that don't
for
know
the
who Steve
baby
Aoki
boomers.
is.
So, I mean, yeah, just for people like that have such a cool life anyways, that if there were a camera following them around all the time, you probably would tune in sometimes and watch them. So it's just fun to see that. And then as for posting, it's just a good way for you to be able to tell your friends, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm enjoying today, without having to like text 1,000 people what you're doing or send a video or make this whole thing and make a process out of the whole entire thing just to post a video for your day. So I think it gives people a good sense of community, a good sense of, we have other people that are doing the same thing, that are struggling through their ab workout, and I'm doing that too. So that's great. We can struggle together.
So getting back to my point of view, so the whole thing about this is I am going to start unfriending and blocking people for using live video in completely ridiculous and what I would consider
Are you going to tell them first?
Inappropriate ways.
Are you going to warn them first?
No, I mean, use some judgment. Use reasonable judgment. I mean, seriously, it's so ridiculous. I mean, the things are out there.
So what's inappropriate to post on live video?
Well, let's take a look at it. Let's look at the personal aspect of things and the business aspect of things.
Okay.
So let's rewind back to the old days of email, even before texting. People that didn't know how to use email. Because nobody printed a set of rules. This is how you write an email. This is how you write an email title. This is how much you write in an email. This is what you get to get to your point. There's so many people that just don't have any common sense or email etiquette or whatever it might be. And I think the same thing exists today in terms of live video. People have no couth. They have no tact. They have no sense of what to post, what not to post, both in a personal as well as in a business sense. And maybe kind of social media has kind of lowered the threshold of what's appropriate and inappropriate. And that's our new reality, that you can post anything and all your stuff is out there all the time. I'm not really a big fan of that. And since it is social media, I get to decide who I'm going to be social with. I'm going to do that.
So what do you think is the most popular platform, and where do you think it's going? Do you think Instagram's completely stolen Snapchat's idea and Snapchat's just going to die now? Or do you think baby boomers are finally going to start to go on Snapchat and just deal with the people that they like and the people that they know? Or what do you think is going to happen? You think they're just going to stay on Facebook and maybe watch a few live things here and there?
Well, Facebook is the dominant social media platform. I mean, they dominate the advertising market, and since they dominate the advertising market, they're going to have more money than anybody else. Google has an advertising business as well, since they're the dominant player in search. But as far as pure social media, Facebook is dominant, and I think it's indicative of when Facebook bought Instagram, how much Instagram has accelerated in terms of the number of users versus Twitter. And by the way, I think Twitter is an amazing, awesome platform. It's my primary news feed. I'm on Facebook because you have to be on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram just to kind of understand it and experiment with it. But my two primary social media platforms for my consulting business are LinkedIn and Twitter. And I think Twitter's massively undervalued. I'm looking at how much LinkedIn just sold for to Microsoft. So totally separate topic.
I think it's hard for millennials because on Twitter it's hard to think of what to say, and if you do want to say, it's too long to fit in the thing, and you can add a picture, but it's not like Instagram where it's like the picture is the main point of it. It's kind of like a side note to your comment. So I think it's harder for millennials to adapt to Twitter easily.
Yeah, so Twitter is for a very specific purpose, and I think Instagram's for a different purpose. Although they do compete with each other to some extent, I don't think they're massively competitive with each other. Although you're stealing time for eyeballs no matter where you're at. So Facebook bought Instagram, so Instagram, by the fact that Facebook owns them, is a far more dominant social media platform than Snapchat. And Snapchat really started with teenagers that wanted to send, dirty pictures to each other or things that they didn't want other people to see. You couldn't even follow somebody on Snapchat unless they gave you your ID. And over time, I would put these people generally in the category of Instagram models, started opening Snapchat channels and putting their Snapchat on their Instagram page or their Twitter page or whatever, so that they could use that as an additional vehicle for their promotional activities, whether it's working out or social activities or
So do you think baby boomers will do more of this now that they're getting to the point where they see how millennials are doing that, or do you think they'll just say, that's crazy, no way?
I think there's an appropriate usage model for the B2C, business to consumer, place for stories, and
I love how you say it like that.
So to get back to your original question, will Instagram stories kill Snapchat? I don't know if they'll kill it, but they definitely will put a significant dent in Snapchat's business and growth, especially as it relates to business, business types of customers, and business types of customers are where most of the advertising dollars are. So Snapchat can't make money unless they're able to get some type of advertising revenue. So I think Snapchat's already kind of abandoned their original story because they eventually had to get to a point where they could make money. So
they made memories.
Memories as an example, is like, okay, it's no longer really Snapchat, if that's the case.
So sad.
So I think Snapchat will be around. So you think for
baby boomers, they should be on social media and live things if they're selling to customers, but what about if they're not and they're just on their personal? Do you think that they should be on live video, or?
I think there's a usage model for it, sure. I mean, if you've got something where you just had a baby, or, you had some significant event and you want to tell your friends about it, maybe that's an appropriate use. I don't want to, somebody that I casually know, watch them prepare their breakfast. I mean, it's not that interesting to me. And maybe it is there. Maybe there is an audience for that. If there's some cute girl or cute guy like preparing their breakfast and they've got a following that wants to watch them prepare their breakfast, awesome. That's not me. I'm not that target audience. So for me, it's like I'm gathering information. I'm testing the stuff out to see how you can use it in a productive way. And then I'm more social in person. I do make sure that I have social interaction with people that are in my social media and online. I do direct message people on Twitter. I do, network with people on LinkedIn. But if you ever want those relationships to be truly real, you have to take them offline, especially from a business sense. Or, if you've got friends that, are remote locations, you grew up in Michigan, I grew up in St. Louis, I've got friends that are back there, so, I can't talk to the phone with them every day, and kind of keeping in touch with each other, social media is a good way to do that. So I think there's a time and place for it, sure, but is the time and place being used appropriately right now by the people that are doing it? I question that.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you because I think it's awesome and I love live video, and I think everyone and their grandma and their grandpa should be on it, and I want to see what everybody's cooking for breakfast. So
I would say,
I think it's great.
One thing about a downside from my standpoint on Instagram stories is that now, because it's at the top, and it's been prioritized, and this is a Facebook strategy. Facebook does own Instagram. For those of you out there that don't know this, they do. They've owned it for years. And the whole set of streaming stories at the top, I'm curious, but I'm also like learning, and I've already gotten to a point where, okay, this is too much. This is too much of a time sink for me to watch all this garbage, and I'm going to start unfriending people that otherwise, if they were just on my Instagram feed, then I probably would have tuned in, because I do think there's a lot of interesting things going on Instagram that's similar to Twitter, but it's more visual. You have to have a picture, and you can, picture tells 1,000 words. So there is a kind of cool, appropriate way to use that. And if people are, in my opinion, of course, inappropriately using Instagram stories, even though I might have been interested in them as kind of pictures, but I'm not interested in them from a video standpoint, they're gone. And I'm a lost potential customer, a lost potential whatever in that, that situation.
So I guess that's a really good message to brands, to make sure you stick with your brand. And that reminds me to post less of my breakfasts and more of awesome things to do in San Diego. So
I think high quality video, if done right, just like a picture, if a picture tells 1,000 words, maybe a video tells 100,000 words. So in the San Diego Lifestyle blog, we are, both Amanda and I are big advocates of using video, because that's what makes the San Diego Lifestyle blog like Yelp on steroids. You can go to Yelp and read reviews, but you can go to our site and actually see the restaurant and meet the owner and meet the chef and do things like that. We're trying to do more and more things like that. It's not live video, but sometimes we'll do some of that live. When we did the interview with David Taylor from the Tasting Room Del Mar, we did a segment of that live, which I thought that was an appropriate use of live video, kind of cool for people that are out there in Southern California. So I think that people just need to take a step back. If you're using social media live streaming or stories in order to perpetuate your business, protect your brand. Think about your brand. Think about your strategy. Think about what you're doing. If it's just about, hey, I'm socializing with my friends, fine, that's cool. But I think a lot of people out there are doing things that might be totally fine if you were snapping or, storying or whatever the verb is with your friends, that if you're broadcasting to a larger audience, it's like, this doesn't really represent your brand very well. Just my opinion.
Well, I think we should take a step forward and go on it more and find out what everyone's doing.
I have no problem with more streaming video as long as it's done with quality and taste and sticks with the brand message if you're using it for business purposes.
I think you just don't like breakfast.
I love breakfast. Best meal of the day. Most important meal of the day. I eat breakfast every day.
Oh my God.
Probably by looking at me, you can tell I don't miss many meals. That's true as well. But I can tell you, breakfast, most important meal of the day. We can agree upon that.
Well, please let us know what you guys think, what you think of all this social media, if baby boomers are going to be on it more, if millennials are ever going to stop posting their breakfast pictures, and what's going to go on with it. Let us know your opinion, and thanks for talking to me today about this. It was awesome.